What's up, my people? I'm here again with the Dolphin. We've had our Dolphin in the water for about 3 years now, just over 3 years, and it went out on us. But we bulletproofed it. And if you've got a Dolphin, I highly recommend that you would bulletproof it too. Summer's here. Kids want to play, and Daddy ain't got time to vacuum the pool with a stick. This thing's running good. Our pool's a little cloudy. Usually it stays clear all winter, but we had so many problems, and this Dolphin vacuum was one of them, that we haven't yet got it cleared up. But boy, she's working good. Hopefully y'all can see that. Maybe it'll climb the wall for you. No, it's gonna go the other way. The swivel was the problem. I got that fixed. And in the process of figuring out what was wrong with it, I found out that it was getting leaks and corrosion in various different places. And I got all that resolved. They say these vacuums don't last for about 3 years before they go out. And I've had mine about that length of time, and it went out on me. But I got it fixed, and I think I showed y'all in this upcoming video how to bulletproof it. So anyway, good luck to you. If you got any questions, hit me up down below. I'm also gonna have my kids and my nephews and my niece on a water slide for your entertainment. Taught them how to go over the wall, I did. And boy, they had a good time. Anyway, y'all have a good summer. God bless you. Thank you for joining me. And we'll see you next time. Be blessed. All right, guys, we have a Maytronics Dolphin S200 we're working on today, and we're going to bulletproof it. This thing went out on me over the winter, and I repaired it, and it's currently in this state fixed. But while investigating the problem with it, I found that it was getting corrosion and water leaks, and I'm glad that I had to tear into it to see all these problems, and I am fixing it up so it don't go completely out on me. I've got 3 different products I'm going to use in this video. The one I'm using right there is silicone O-ring grease. And it's a food grade grease for O-rings. What I'm using right now is a no oxide electrical contact grease. That's a NO-OX-ID, no oxide electrical contact grease. I was getting water in my cord connections. Right here I'm working on the swivel, and that's actually the source of the problem. Here in just a second, you'll see the prongs on the male side of that swivel. Those prongs had corroded until they were unable to spring back out and make contact with that disc on the female side of the swivel. And this is my first time to use no oxide grease, so I wanted to do a little continuity test on the grease itself, and there is no continuity across the grease. Some of these greases for electricity do have metal shavings in them, and there is continuity across, and I wanted to make sure that there wasn't. I know it was advertised that there wasn't, but I wanted to make sure there was no conductivity through the grease, because I was going to put it down there on that disc where there's a positive and negative. So that grease is going to stop the corrosion and resist the water and moisture and all that. Right now I'm showing you this little clear plastic thing that keeps that cord centered on that swivel body, and I broke it. It's running right now without it, and it's not causing a problem. I hate it is broke, but I'm not buying a $200 cord because it's got a broke little keeper in it. It's working good without it. Anyway, be careful with it. You really don't even need to remove it to, yeah, you do. You need to remove it if you want to get those O-rings out and seal them up. So I tried to squeeze that keeper and push it into the housing. What I should have done is squeezed it and pulled it out of the housing. But I tell you, I just barely squeezed on it before it broke. So you're probably going to break it if you remove it. But if you do, it'll still work without it. Anyway, I'm taking the motor out now. While trying to investigate what exactly the problem was, I took the motor out and found that it had water leaks down in it. And I decided I had better stop that if I want this thing to keep running for me. It's got 2 computer boards in there. And the optical element right there on the front of it was leaking water was leaking through that area onto the computer board that sits right there on the inside of the housing. That right there is where the cord plugs into the motor. When I first took that cord off, it was seized. It was kind of like welded together, and I had some severe corrosion in there. So salt water had been getting down in there, and I'm about to clean that up and get it good and greased. The pins on the inside of the connector on the motor side are very significant pins, and they weren't deteriorated, but they were corroded, so I cleaned them up as best I could. But my bigger concern was this cord, because that thin material on those barrel connectors on this cord, the material actually started eating away on the tip of it. Anyway, I'm going to clean up and scrape off this corrosion here. I did squeeze those barrel connectors so they would connect a little tighter to the pins inside the connection there. And I'm just using a wire brush here, trying to get all that corrosion off. And since it's heavily corroded, y'all, I'm using a lot more grease than is probably advisable for new stuff. But I'm also wanting to not really pack that area, but maybe almost pack that area. I don't have full confidence that that rubber gasket, that red-orange rubber gasket, is going to keep 100% of all water out of there. So I'm wanting to get plenty grease down in there, so if any water does get past, it's not able to get past the grease into the connector and deteriorate it anymore. I got a little O-ring right there and putting some O-ring grease on. And that silicone, boy, that is some slick stuff. If you don't like slick stuff, you should probably wear some gloves on this. Probably need to get me some little small paint brushes to kind of brush that stuff on instead of embracing the full experience here. So I'm putting some more silicone grease on there so that washer, that rubber washer, will seal on it a little better. And I do like how it acted when I tightened the nut down on here. I think that grease just made it all work just like it should. I'm pretty confident water's not going to get in there. We're going to bulletproof this thing. It's about over $1,000 tool, pool cleaner. And, well, I can't just replace one of these every 3 years. And so it's just a little too much. It's got to be fixed, and I want to fix it where I don't have to, where it don't keep breaking. And I'm showing you right now, I squeezed it until that rubber washer squeezed up through there, flush with the top of the black plastic nut, that neck right there. I really like how that worked out. Be careful, don't break your plastic when you're prizing it off. You got to be easy with this plastic stuff. Got a big old O-ring there. I'll seal that up on the way when I'm done waterproofing these computer boards. And I'm showing you right there this element that's leaking water down on that computer board. That computer board somehow senses something through that element. Yeah, I don't know how all that works, but I do know water was getting on that computer board and I wanted to stop it. It was running right down through there and collecting on the bottom edge of that board. So I'm going to take a little plastic bristle brush and clean it up. And we are going to coat it with something called modified silicone conformal coating in an aerosol can. I'm going to take that computer board loose and the other computer board, and we're going to put a couple coats on both sides and make it more water resistant. Hopefully we'll keep water from getting down in there at all. But if it does get down in there, hopefully it won't fry these computer boards. That's the plan. Silicone modified conformal coating. We're going to spray the front and the back and all four edges. We're going to make sure not to spray it down in any of the connectors. It's not a bad thing if you do, but if you do spray your connectors, then you're going to have to scratch the silicone off of it before you make the connections. They say, and I don't know whether to believe it or not, they say that you could have a bad computer board and spray it with some of these corrosion resistant products, and sometimes the computer boards will come back to life. I can't confirm nor deny, but that is what they say. So I did try to spray a computer board in my saltwater generating system, and it did not come back. So I know it didn't in that case. I guess it was fried beyond being brought back. So that one screw right there takes this main computer board, or actually two screws there. I couldn't see the other one. It's going to take that computer board loose, and we're going to disconnect everything to it. I'm not going to take the motors and servo apart and spray them. They say leave well enough alone. So I'm going to leave well enough alone on them. Main thing I was after here is these two computer boards. I tried to being I thought that small computer board was the culprit because it had water leaking on it and a little bit of corrosion, I tried to buy a computer board for it and was unable. It was not available. And so it was at that time that I realized I had better do something to protect these computer boards, or else I'm going to have to be buying a new pool cleaner. I found that computer board on 2 foreign sites, but I was not confident in my ability to understand the foreign language. And there wasn't a PayPal link or anything like that, so I was going to have to deal directly with money receiving sites online that I couldn't even understand the language of, and I just decided to opt out. But I couldn't find any American or English site. Now this is that optical, you see the nut right there? That nut holds that optical element in, and there might be some better terminology to use here, but we're going to call it an optical element. Somehow that computer board senses something through that. Anyway, it's got a O-ring on it that was leaking. So we're going to put some silicone O-ring grease on it. And put her back together. Now it's just plastic, so when you put that nut on there, don't you break it off. You want to go just past snug. Get it snug and then turn it about another quarter turn and it'll be good. But don't man up on it or else. Good luck trying to find parts. In all my searching, I did not find online part resource, and I even called my local pool outfit over about things and didn't get calls back and such, but I'm sure they're busy with more important things. They're good people, but I just didn't find any. I didn't find much assistance for this project locally or online, so I think my solution is let's fix it where it don't break. Little preventative maintenance. I'm usually more reactive than proactive, but in this case, we're going to be doing preventative maintenance. The motors, I got looking at the motors in this situation, and I thought, well, I could take them motors apart and seal up whatever electronics are in them, and I thought, well, I doubt there's very much electronic computer boards in those motors. There's probably just windings and brushes and wires and connectors and that sort of thing. And I thought that, well, there's a lot more risk breaking something in the motor while taking it apart than the risk of moisture tearing it up. And I thought, well, leave well enough alone on the servo and the 2 motors. And I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. This dude hoodooed me when I first started working on it and trying to figure it out. I thought it was the motor. I ordered a used motor on eBay for $200. It's a $500+ part retail price. So I bought a $200 used one, plugged it in, and it still didn't work. And later, after that happened, I found that it was a cord problem. But the reason I was mistaken is I took that part with a 3 wires, the red, black, and white wire, the little white nut on the inside of the motor where the power goes through there. I took that off and used my voltmeter and found the 27 volts or whatever it is it's supposed to have on that at that location. And so I thought, well, it can't be the cord. It's got to be the motor. And that's why I decided it was a computer board, but I was mistaken. And anyway, didn't realize that I was mistaken until I replaced the motor and it still didn't work. And then I went to the cord and found the problem to be in the swivel. And what I came up with is I must have been getting voltage at that connector, but I wasn't getting enough amps to run the system. And so it really hoodooed me. Y'all check your swivel before you replace your motor. Even if you have voltage on the inside of the motor, you may not have enough amps. That pin, that center pin on the swivel, was apparently getting a little bit of connection, enough to read voltage through it, but it wasn't getting a strong enough connection to provide the amps needed. And so my little multimeter wasn't able to tell me all that. They say hindsight's 20/20, right? That Corrosion X is what I used to spray on one of my computer panels that went bad in my salt chlorine generator. And I like the product, and I think that it's a good product, but it didn't bring the computer board back to life like I hoped. Anyway, I'm not using that on this project, but it was just sitting there, so I used it to hold down my napkin for the fan. And I'm always in a hurry, so I need to put a fan on it. And I like it. Boy, it looks like I've coated it real good. If little drips of moisture start getting down in there, it should put up with it for some time. And of course, I'm going to try not to get any moisture down in there. That's part of the whole point here. But if water gets down in there, I don't want these computer boards to go out on me. And we're hooking it up. Thank goodness all the connectors have unique connection parts, and so you can't get it wrong. Isn't that wonderful? I didn't know that people did that anymore. They did it in a way that kind of makes sense for the people that are putting it together. Wonderful. I'm not a real electronics genius, but I can take things apart and look at it and kind of see if it looks terrible. I don't know how to put meters on and make sure all the resistors are resisting properly and, etc. And what I didn't realize I was doing right here is I was putting it back together without the moisture absorber packet. When I had taken it out previously, I put the moisture absorber packet in my truck, and so I'm about to realize that I need it, and I'm gonna go get it. It's getting dark, getting late, and here I am the next morning after I have reactivated this moisture absorber packet. It's got instructions on the packet, and it belongs right there under that motor. It's got instructions to reactivate it. So I went by the instructions. I think it recommends like 16 hours at 275 degrees or something like that. Y'all look at your own packet and see what instructions it gives you. But I went by the instructions, reactivated it. I didn't have quite 16 hours. I had 12 hours. And I figure that's probably good enough. Got it in there and snapped all back together. It's only 4 screws that hold all this together. It's real simple, actually. So I just plugged it in and tried it, and there we go. And for some reason, this dude shuts down when you run it on the pavement and it's not in the water. It somehow knows that it's not in the water and it'll stop. It's a pretty smart little device, little tool. But it will work for probably 15, 20 seconds, I'd be guessing, before it shuts down. It's got 2 screws down low, and then it's got 2 screws up high. Y'all don't go hard on your impact drill driver. Them things are strong, and it'll break them screws, break the plastic off when you put your screws in pretty easily. But this is a pretty cool little project. I've been enjoying using this every morning when I come out to do the chores. Starting up the pool vacuum is one of the things I do. Y'all ready? You done a flip yet?
I don't feel like hurting my back again, so I'm
Here goes a kind of a flip.
Let it move!
Go ahead. Holy moly! Hey! Oh no!